One kind of medical students are mostly focused or come to the research world because they have some exam, so they need some publications. Another student really want to contribute something towards science.
Hi guys, and today we have a very special guest, Dattatreya Mukherjee, a final year MBBS student and a research assistant at Jinan University, China. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Shivam, for taking me on the board, and thanks to your all the team members who have invited me in this interview. Thanks to everyone.
So let me introduce Dattatreya to the audience. He has presented over 100 scholarly works and world's one of the youngest researcher and principal investigator in oncology, hemato-oncology, neurology and public health. And today we will discuss about UG research. So let's begin. Firstly, from where should a medical student interested in research work start?
So I get this question a lots of times in social media, mostly in LinkedIn. So there are two kinds of medical students that there. One kind of medical students are mostly focused or come to the research world because they have some exam. So they need some publications. The thing is very simple. They need some publications. So and another student really want to contribute something towards science. So first group of students I don't like them that much because I don't like that thing that someone is coming to research world just for the publication, not something to contribute towards the research and towards the science, towards the scientific world. So I repeatedly write many times in the Twitter and other places that these kind of things should be abolished or should be stopped. But in the second part, who really wants to contribute something towards the research world, I would suggest them first contact to your professor who is in your university. Getting the blessings of from your professors is the best thing which you can get. Join, just go to your professor, tell that you are interested in research. Maybe he or she can give you some tasks or maybe some homework kind of things. If you do great in those things, then he or she will take you in their research projects, and that's the best way to come in the research. But if you don't get that opportunity, like some pupils have mentioned that during this pandemic situation they are doing online classes, and to be honest, in online classes the bonding is very tough between professor and a student because there is a barrier of a computer. So what I would suggest that you can do small research review, short review projects, not that much like you that much effective, but you can learn through YouTube. You can learn, but the thing is that learning is a process. On one day you can't know everything, but that's how you can introduce yourself in the research group. Like how I entered from the anatomy lab dissection room, where I have seen that my professors used to take photos of different anomalies after the dissection or during the dissection. Then what I have also taken the search permission, and when during the dissection I got an anomaly and I took the photo of that. And that photo, what I did, I have went to YouTube. I have learned how to write papers. Then I have wrote a tremendously drastic poor paper and sent it in an international journal. It got rejected. Okay, no problem. But I have learned that thing. So this is the process of learning. Later, that paper is also presented in an international conference in USA in 2018. It's HAPS International Conference, and also it's got published in 2019 with my anatomy professor in a journal from UK. So this is how you can enter in the research group by your research the world by your own guts. Means you have to take the initiative by your own. If go to the professor, take the opportunity. If you are not getting that opportunity, you have to do it yourselves. Learn from different medium. Like YouTube is really a good platform now for learning researches.
Okay, so just at the beginning of the answer, you spoke about the importance of the professors who would help you throughout the process. So the basic question remains that how to get in touch with these mentors to get their guidance.
So this is not a very tough thing, because you in every medical college or medical school has lots of professors who are able, who used to do many research works, and they have also many cases. When you will enter in the clinical part, you will see that professors are also publishing cases, and you can easily go to any professor and you can easily just ask that, sir, I want to, or ma'am, I want to do this research work, I just want to know, learn research works under your guidance, just guide me, I am very interested in research field. So what he or she will do is, maybe she, or if he or she see that sees that you don't have you don't have any publications, or you are absolutely new in the research field, maybe she can tell you that you can do one thing, you can do this course, it's on research methodology, or maybe writing. You can do this course, and after completing the course, if you complete it successfully, then welcome to my research team. So these kind of things happens. Like when I have also worked under my university professor Dr. Xiong Phang for the mental health. I have worked on 1.5 years in the department of psychology, where I have worked in the mental health part. So that's the same thing. Just approach your professor. Don't be hesitate to approach your professor. That's the simple thing. Later you can, if you want, you can approach to the other universities professor also, but I would suggest start from your university professor. Because what happened in other university, they used to, they will ask for CV, and absolutely new CV they will not entertain. They will just say that, okay, I don't have any space in the lab, or I don't have time, or maybe most worst is that he or she will not reply you. That is also possible.
Okay, so nextly at the start, from where did you manage to get all the information regarding the research work?
Yes, as I told that YouTube is my always first preference to learn research. Still now I learn from YouTube. When I started in end of 2016 and early of 2017, that time the resources in YouTube was limited in respect to research, but currently there are really great resources you will find. Like just type it that how to write research papers, or what type of research papers, how to publish. There are, you will get a lots of videos on this, and you can learn from this, because that is a part of active learning. Because what happened, if you read an article and you are completely new, it's very tough. It will feel like a Greek and Latin. So very basics, you just go to YouTube, just search how to write a research paper, like that kind of things, and just see the videos, and it will be okay. After, and obviously we will also trial and error, and here the mentors come. If the mentors is there, what you will do, you will write one a manuscript, and you will go to the mentor will correct it, and that correction is also very helpful. So I would suggest, if you are starting, start from YouTube.
Okay, so which were the authentic websites from where you gathered all the information, obviously apart from YouTube?
I do two course site are there. I am really fond of that. That is Coursera. I always prefer Coursera, because they have a lots of courses about researches. And another is there that is FutureLearn, but FutureLearn is paid. But sometimes in a year they give free courses, but mostly it is paid. So if you are in that duration, that when it is giving free courses, then it's great. Otherwise, go for FutureLearn. There is an option for applying funding. Apply for funding. They, in the 15 days, they usually apply the scholarship or funding, and you can do the whole research, whole course for free of cost. So I usually prefer for Coursera. And there are other, that Harvard X is there, EduX is there. Harvard X is paid. EduX, you can do the courses in free of cost, but for certificate you have to pay up little amount. And obviously you should keep the connections to social media, because many friends you will see will give their share their certificates and all. Just see that some days ago I have done a course from Harvard University on research data management, which was funded by NIH. So that I came to know from another friend who told me about that thing. So this connection is also helpful.
Okay, that's great. Now, a student who has started his research work, suppose he has started making his manuscript, could you then elaborate about the details, which are the stepwise procedures ahead for him?
Okay, first the thing they have to take us they have to take a topic. The preliminary stage is they have to take a topic. For that they have to see different papers. Like I am working in the Parkinson disease. So first I have to see that what are the papers recently published in Parkinson disease. If I am going for a review, then I have to understand some part, that what is needed, like which as the aspect is not covered in Parkinson disease. Then I have to take that as a topic, and then I have to search more and more papers from the databases like PubMed, Google Scholar or Science Direct. If you have institutional account, you should go for Science Direct. After that you can search the papers, then you have a gross idea, then you can write the paper according to the whole idea. And majorly you have take a Excel sheet, and whatever paper you are reading, just enter in the Excel sheet, so that during the writing you can go through that papers again. Those papers again you can go through. And the papers are more or less have an abstract part, then as an introduction part. If it's a literature review, then there is no result part, there will be topics according to the literature review. Then there will be a discussion and conclusion, and acknowledgement, reference, and some legal aspect, that conflict of interest, fundings, there we have to declare all these things. But if it's a research, then there is an abstract, introduction, methodology, result, discussion, conclusion, all the legal aspects, acknowledgement, and references. That's the whole structure of a paper.
Okay, so with your research work, what is your perspective of the importance of the conferences? Like, how do the students attend these conferences? How do they get to do that? Like, what is the importance? What is the benefit you draw out of it?
Yeah, so I have attended lots of national and international conferences, and the best thing of conference is that you can get lots of reviews from the respected professors from the world directly. Like when you are presenting a poster, they will ask questions, they will give their review on your work. So that's the best thing, because those are live reviews. Next thing is that presentability. Like you are presenting something, so your presenting habit is increasing, as well as you other pupils also can know you and your work. That's also important thing. And why I told that this presentability is important, because in later when you will enter in the field of original research, you have to put ethical approval. For ethical approval, you have to present, and they will ask questions. So that a practice like things happens in the conference only. So we can get a lots of reviews from the respected professors in live from a conference. And how you can get a conference, that depends on that your links that you can get from your friends, you can get from LinkedIn, you can get from their different pages in Facebook, you can get it from those pages also. And you can search, if you search into Google, you can get all those from there also. Some are like that, you will get the invitations like through mail or through LinkedIn. Different conference organizers will invite you. And some are like top conferences, they like the whole world waits for that conference, like ASCO, ACR, like BACR, like that is ESMO. EAC. These are the ANA. So these are the conference which are the world's topmost conference, and it's like a schedule. Like 1 year ago, they always announce the date. So that's the whole world is waiting for that conference. But other conference you can know from different sources.
Okay, so once the students have entered into the research work and have been getting the exposure of conferences, now what do they do? Do they get their research work published? Like, is it necessary to get it published? Could you elaborate about this topic?
So publication is always an important part. That's the part which is I feel is important. If you are working a project, then you should publish it. But what I do, that is I put my all the works first in preprint first, because in the preprint it's open and all the researchers can see it and they can give the review on it. On the basis of review, I used to modify my papers. But yes, publication is always important. If you are doing a work, it should get published. And or if you don't want to get published, at least you put in a preprint site, because either it's in medRxiv or bioRxiv. It's not medRxiv, it's medRxiv, bioRxiv, or xArchive, or OSF or preprint.org. There are lots of things. These there you can share, post your work. These are not peer reviewed, but it has a scholarly effect. It will be added in your CV and it has a good impact in your scholar profile. But yes, publication is important. But yeah, there are two types of publications also. One, you can publish in a journal through submitting the journal, or you can publish through conference. If the whole paper has been published in a conference, then you can't publish it in a journal. So there is also like what you want. It depends on the authors that where they want to publish.
Okay, so what are the pros and cons of publishing your research work in the journal or in the conference?
Okay, in conference, first of all, most of the conference publish abstract. Not very few conference accept the full paper. There's some IEEE conferences there. There are some conference who accept full papers. If you are if they are accepting and publishing the paper in the format of abstract, then it's good. Then you can publish the full paper in a different journal. But if the conference is publishing the full paper, then you can't publish it in a journal. The thing is that if there is a criteria, UGC criteria. If there is, it's not very impactful in a student's life, but in a professor's life, they have some points given by UGC criteria. The paper which has been published through conference, the full paper, it has, I think, 10 marks. I forgot, but less marks than it has published in through a journal. So there is a marks difference when it comes to conference journal or journal by itself. So that's the thing happens. But in the undergraduate or student life, it's not that much important.
So from a student's perspective, what would you do? Publish it in a journal or publish it in a conference?
See, what I do, I first put all my works, I try to put it in a conference first. They publish the abstract, so I have an opportunity to publish the full paper. So when the conference is totally done, the paper is totally published, then I put the whole paper in the that is the journal. In the journal, I publish the full paper. So that's how I do. But yeah, if that conference is publishing the full paper, then you can't publish it in a journal separately. That is already published in a conference. But if they are accepting as an abstract, then you have an opportunity to publish it in a full journal. But during CV, you have to mention like this as an abstract, this as a full paper. So you have to mention that which one is abstract, which one is full paper.
Lastly, I would like to ask that what is the basic protocol to get your journal published?
There is not such protocols, but if you ask that how you should get the journals, it depends on your work. There it's a very controversial topic. Okay, so first protocol, it depends on the what kind of research you are doing. If you are doing any original work, it's mandatory to have a ethical guidelines. Then for publishing, if you have 10 authors, the 10 authors should be notified that I am submitting in this journal, and everyone's means agreeing report is needed. Everyone should agree that okay, you can put in this journal. The corresponding author will put the paper in that journal. So these are the protocol, and after that there is some legal protocols, like if the journal is getting accepted, then then you what you have to do, then some has copyrights to the journal, transfer the copyrights to the journal, some has to the authors. So if the journal has the copyright, then you can't share your journal's work, your paper's work anywhere without taking permission from the journal. So these are the copyright issues, legal issues.
So, how to choose the journals where you want to get your work published?
I choose, see, it's a different controversial topic. Many researchers has different perspective. I mostly see an ISSN and are good in at proper in valid indexing. Some, and I also prefer Scopus or Web of Science index journals. Some researchers prefer Web of Science and Scopus only, like strictly. Some only published in the PubMed index. They just they just want a published PubMed Medline index journal. So it's different. It's like controversial topic. So it differs from person to person, researchers to researchers. But for me, I a valid ISSN, a proper and good proper indexing is okay for me. If it's Scopus or Web of Science, I give more priority than PubMed index.
Okay, so one last question from you, that what would be your advice for the juniors who look into pursuing UG research?
So my advice is that learn the work, don't run behind the publications or number of publications. Then don't feel jealous if your colleagues are publishing 2 or 3 papers. Don't feel jealous. Read works, learn more, and come to this world with a motivation like I will contribute something towards humanity, towards God, and towards scientific world, so that my paper will not be a page or a paper only. It will like help some a group of people. That's why we remember Einstein, that's why we remember the Nobel laureates, because their work has been recognized in towards humanity. Today we recognize Newton because the work has changed the world. So keep motivating to do some revolutionary work, not just publishing or author position, like that kind of things.
Okay, so that's it for now, guys. It was a very informative video, and thank you for coming and enlightening my audience. It was a pleasure having you, and your words of wisdom must be taken with both hands by my audience. Hope my audience has got an idea and the resources for UG research. Thank you.
Thank you everyone.